I knew you would, Yugi boy. Yugi boy, Yugi boy. Whatever you say, Yugi boy. Yugi boy, Yugi boy. Yugi boy. Your turn, Yugi boy. Prepare yourself, Yugi boy. No thanks, Yugi boy. Yugi boy, Yugi boy.
Hello everyone, it's MadCakeKing here, and welcome to the Toon World deck profile that I've had many requests for Duel Masters that just came out recently and everyone's been playing a lot. Like I said, I've had a lot of requests for people seeing my list and what everything does. So I think we'll go over today what everything the deck does, what each card does, what to chain with what, where I think the deck stands in this meta, and where I think it has its flaws, and what I think the best things about it are. Sorry, clear my throat a little bit. So, for starting, we have the Blackstone of Legend. As it says here, you can tribute this card. Special summon one level 7 or lower red eyes monster from your deck. If this card is in your graveyard, you can target one level 7 or lower red eyes monster in your graveyard, shuffle it into the deck, and if you do, add this card to your hand. You can only use this once per turn. So, I run 2 of these because often I'm not pulling it, and then when I was trying to run 3 of it, it felt like it flooded the deck, and there was times where I didn't want it in hand compared to wanting the Toon monster in hand. So I cut it down to 2, and because with him, is obviously you're going to summon your red Toon-Eyes Dragon, which we'll get into here soon. Excuse me. That's really the whole point of him, was to do that, and then you basically to get this out, you're not really going to be summoning from hand, and like I said, I only run 2 of in case 3 floods the deck, and because 1-for-1 is the card that we'll be using to summon it, and to tribute it, because you special summon it with this, then use the activate effect, tribute it, and bring out your Toon-Eyes Black Dragon, and that's really the only thing you do with him. I'm sorry, Red Eyes Toon Dragon, my apologies. That's second card, we run Toon Mermaid. You could technically run 3 of her and drop another card from it if you want. She's literally the only reason I run her is like for a 2 monster out, and use my obviously a 2 monster, use my skills for my spells, traps, etc. And she's a 1 cost. She is not a tribute or anything like some of these monsters are, but she can be special summon too. So you don't have to normal summon her, you special summon her. And the reason you run her mainly is for right here is Abyss Welder. Use her, and you can use 2 of her and a Toon Harpy Lady if you want. So you can special summon them both the same turn and bring out Abyss Welder. Which I'll probably add another one of him into my deck because he's pretty good actually. Once per turn, you can detach one material from this card. Your opponent can activate any cards in their graveyard this turn, which a lot of decks are going to be doing, activating a lot of effects for in their graveyard. I've seen it happen many times, and trust me, it can get very annoying. And that's the whole reason of her being in this deck. Like I said, you could run 3 of her if you really desire to do so. You don't have to, but I run 2. Maybe I'll switch up to 3 if I come across that. Toon Harpy Lady, she's a very good monster. She is another free special summon. With Toon World, like most of these are. If you control another 2 monster, she can destroy 1 spell trap your opponent controls, and you can always use that once per turn. Now, but one thing with all the 2 monsters except Blackluster is they cannot attack the turn they are summoned. But they can proc their effects on their stuff without attacking still. So it's still pretty useful. You don't really get attacked the turn they are, because if they got to attack the turn they were summoned, they'd be absolutely busted, like way too busted. Because of the whole gimmick of being able to attack your opponent directly is the whole gimmick with this deck being extremely aggro and fucking with your opponent's stuff. Toon Cyber Dragon, I run one of him. Maybe I'll run two, swap it out in the future, but I run one of him simply for camarotec. If I get him from another card like a special summon, or I just pull him in my hand at some point and I have no monsters in my field, he can come out for free like normal Cyber Dragon. The only reason I run him is because of camarotec, which is a 10-star, and it's pretty good. You can actually use buff cards from the field, so you can use him and any cards on the field. That's even a fusion monster on the field too. So like I was playing last night against my friend B in his raw deck, which is pretty good. I'll see if I can get a profile of him sometime. I use his Egyptian God Slime fusion on the field to fuse with this to summon the fuse with my Cyber Dragon to summon that out, and that was really something that fucks with decks like that, is that you're using your opponent's own monsters against them, because with that card against the Egyptian God Slime, it's like I can only target that with attacks and I believe effects. I'll have to check that again, but that is one of the big reasons you run that, because it's super useful when you need to get something off the field without destroying it, or it's like, oh, you can't destroy it by effects, you're just using it instead of destroying it or banishing it. Red Toon Ice Dragon, he comes out from the one drop like I explained. He does the whole gimmick, and he does the whole Toon World gimmick, and when he's summoned, you can summon our Toon Eyes except for Red Eyes Dragon from your hand. So any two monster from your hand that's not Red Eyes, you can pull out from your hand when he's summoned, and you can proc the effects off that two monster you summon. He's a good card. You can bring him out all sorts of ways. Let's see. I run two of them because, again, with a Toon Eyes Red Dragon, I don't feel like I'm choosing him constantly. Well, I'm wanting better monsters a lot more than him, which is mainly, Toon Dark Eyes, a Toon Dark Magician, and Toon Blackluster Soldier are like my two favorite cards in this deck of two monsters. Because a lot of this, you're not running a lot of monsters, because you got so many spells and a few traps that you can rush your opponent down without having to worry constantly about having so many monsters. This, obviously, Dark Magician is always a good card, but with this, when he's played in any way you come out, if you have a Toon card in hand, you can discard it, and you can choose one of the effects. Special summon another one, which usually my target is always Blackluster Soldier, which we'll go over to next. Or add one Toon spell trap from your deck to your hand. So that could be Toon Table of Contents, Toon Bookmark, Shadow Toon, Toon World, Toon Page Flip, Toon Kingdom, or any of the traps you really think you need that turn. Which is extremely helpful in the situations that have won me games a lot. Next is Toon Blackluster Soldier. Probably my favorite monster in this deck, because he can be special summoned by just tributing stuff from your hand or your field whose totals level equal 8 or more. And he can attack. He's the only, as far as I know, the only two monster that can attack when he is summoned. But if you don't want to attack, you can use his other effect. As long as you control Toon World, you can target any card on the field and banish it, but he cannot attack from that, like it says in the text. Extremely fucking good monster. I usually go for him for special summon him when it comes to anything I can special summon from another card. I always go to him personally, if I can pull him. He's just an amazing free K to the face, or I can banish a card. Both options are great. Meerkat, another great card. I run one of them because, well, I don't know if I'd say great, but it's a pretty good card. I run one of him because I don't want to feel like because if he doesn't have Toon in the title, I don't think I can pull it like I can with some of the other cards. I could be wrong, and I'll have to recheck that. It's a good card, but I wouldn't run maybe two at most, but I don't think I'd run even two so it doesn't flub the deck like a lot of stuff would. And because sometimes I have a hard time getting out Toon World and Toon Monster at very rare moments when I'm playing in higher matches, I can go where I destroy my stuff and I can't proc that. But when you get it out, you can choose opponent in your monster in your opponent's graveyard, or a spell or trap. So if it's a monster, you can special summon it to your field. If it's a spell or trap, you can set it to your field, which is very fucking good to use against your opponent at a lot of the time. If you can use it, you absolutely want to use it, especially if you can grab something you think you absolutely need on your field, or if you want to finish a game that way. Monster Reborn, everyone knows what Monster Reborn does. It's a limit 1 for a reason. Amazing card, and just obviously I run one there for why not, because it's too good not to. Toon Table of Contents. This can be chained to a lot of stuff. So usually, if I don't have, for example, like Toon Kingdom in my hand or Toon Bookmark in my hand, the chain I like to do, because a lot of times I can get that. There's been times where I get that over this or that, which is I'll use Toon Table of Contents, and I'll chain it with Toon Bookmark, and then I'll use Toon Bookmark to grab out Toon Kingdom or any of these, or Toon Page Slip or any Toon Monster I need to, and chain bend, but get that in my hand and then continue with the chain there and get into whatever I need. It's an absolute must run 3 of in your deck. Like this card is so good to use. There's no reason you should run less than 3 of them. Terraforming, Narc card, everybody knows what it does. You add field spell from your deck to your hand, you search out Toon Kingdom with it. 1 for 1, we already discussed. That goes with the Red Eyes chain. Apologies in advance, by the way, if I'm clearing my throat or what, or misspeaking as I just woke up maybe 2 hours ago. Toon Rollback. I've tested this a tiny bit in my deck. I like it. I don't know if I'm going to run more than one of it or not yet. It's pretty good what it does by, you can see what it says by text. Target 1/2 monster you control. It can make a second attack during each battle phase's turn. It's pretty obvious what you want to do with that and what you're going to do. It's a good finisher. Shadow Toon. I've seen some Toon decks that didn't have this, but I started using it and I actually really like it. Especially when they have a lot of beaters out, like a 3K, 4K beater, and you're like, well shit, I need to deal some damage against my opponent because this is becoming a pain. And I need to get in some damage when I need to. I can't finish them, or like you want to put some pressure on them. They got something like a Wing Dragon of Raw, and you manage to make that turn, survive that turn, you summon it with like an 8900 Wing Dragon of Raw, you manage to make that turn, you can just use that against them next turn and deal the damage to them and win the game. And there's all sorts of stuff you can do with it, and I think 2 is perfectly fine in my deck. I wouldn't run more than that. You can run maybe 1 if you feel like you don't see it too often or don't want to use it too often. We have Toon Bookmark here. Probably one of the best cards in the entire deck. This searches out anything of Toon World in the text or in the title. This is absolutely amazing. I've used this so much and it's won me so many games. What it does, I can search out, like I said, I can search out anything I want Toon World in it. Especially Toon Kingdom is the card I usually go for. So I can get out Toon World in the Toon Kingdom into play. And if for some reason you want to grab Toon World, you can, but I usually go to Toon Kingdom, or if I already have a Toon Kingdom in hand, I want to have Toon Table of Contents or a Toon Monster in my hand, or maybe a Toon Trap. Any of that's possible. It's just like Toon Table of Contents of stuff it can do. And then what makes it so good is when your opponent goes to destroy your Toon World or your Toon Kingdom, you just fucking banish it from your graveyard and they won't get destroyed. And it's helped so many times where they try to screw me by getting rid of my Toon King right then and there. I just hit the Toon Bookmark and continue it. And a lot of time they end their turn like, all right, well, I couldn't get rid of that, so I guess I'll just pass turn, and that's it. And it's phenomenal. You must, another card you must run a free of in this deck because it just does so much, and it's so helpful. And my friend was just talking to me today. He's like, dude, I played Toon Kingdom today. He's like, if I had Toon bookmark with it, it would have been even better. He's like, they tried wiping my field, and I hit Toon Kingdom effect, but if I had a Toon bookmark effect, it would be even better on it. He's like, I've seen what you do that to me many times. I've seen you do that against people many times, and that's so good to not use, to not have in your deck. I'm sorry. Comic-Con. This is a very silly card, and I really like it. And definitely a card you want. You'd have Toon World out on play. You choose any of your opponent's monsters, and you take control of it. So then it becomes a Toon monster on your field, and you can, let's say they have like, gosh, I don't know, a Dark Magician, or you won't really see Dark Magician, but as an example, like anything that's like a strong monster on their field, or like some of these Link, Fusion, anything, Synchros out on field that can be targeted by effects, you can snag that, put it on your field, and it gets the Toon World effects. So like you could special summon off with it, so you can have 2 Toon Worlds on the field, and obviously Toon World monsters can attack your opponent directly if they don't control any Toon World monsters. I actually grabbed a friend's Slifer from hand last night, and started off at 1,000, and I swung into him, then I passed it to my turn. No, I'm sorry. I grabbed his Slifer, and then I attacked him with it as 1,000, and then I passed turn to him. He really wasn't able to do much, and he passed turn to me, and it kept going back and forth to where I was chipping at him with his own Slifer, and to the point I got to hit the 4,000, and I had 4 cards in hand, and I just finished him off with his own Slifer with Sky Dragon. It's an amazing card. You can do so much with it. 2 is perfectly fine. I don't think there's any reason to run free. 1 would be not enough, so I think it's definitely a 2 of you run in your deck. Toon Kingdom, probably one of our best cards in the deck. Right next to Toon Dark Magician, Toon Table of Contents, etc. It's probably, when it comes to field spells, you run this over Toon World any day, anytime. It is an ultra rare, yes. It's going to take you some mats to make, but it is phenomenal. It just beats Toon World in every way possible. You banish the top 3 of your deck to play it, and then this becomes Toon World while in the field zone. And here's the effects right here. So it gains all the skills Toon World does, and all the monsters can be played off, and all the traps and spells can be played with it. So, let's say, for example, here's a really silly interaction. Raigeki. Your opponent goes, I'm going to destroy all of your monsters in your field. And then you go, no, you're not. Because for each one they destroy, you can banish a top deck card face down for each of those monsters instead that would have been destroyed. And that's just too good. Like I said, it's an art card that's won me a lot of matches because I can just do that. Or people just pass turn, or they just surrender right there, or just let me win at that point, any way possible. It's such an amazing card, and like I said, it beats Toon World in every day, in every moment. Toon World, obviously, everyone knows that does pay 1,000 life points by doing it. Use all your effects. Toon Page Flip, another really good card. You reveal 2 monsters from your deck. You go for your deck and you shuffle through it, and you pick 3 Toon monsters. Usually my go-tos are Toon Blackluster Soldier, Toon Dark Magician. I could add Toon Golem back to this deck. I don't think I've used him much, but I might add him back and shuffle out something simply because he's level 8 and will help me get out Toon Blackluster Soldier more. And he has Toon Ancient Gear Golem has some okay effects. Nothing I would really go to play him. He's a free K beater with the piercing battle damage when you're attacking a defense monster. But you mainly use him for that, I guess, if you want a free K beater on the board, or use it to tribute and bring out Blackluster. But often I felt myself was like, I'm not really going to use this card, so I took out Ancient Gear going for it. But what I would run between the choices usually for me, between Blackluster Soldier, Dark Magician, or Red Toon Eyes. However, if I already have a Toon card out and an opponent has a Spell and Trap card out that I want to get rid of, instead of Red Eyes Toon Dragon, I'll choose Toon Harpy Lady and use her effect, which is really fucking good, I've stated before. And you ignore so many conditions, so you don't have to, like, oh, do this by bring this out by tributing blank. Nope, you just use it with Toon Page Flip. So basically, you reveal free, and then your opponent has, like, free laid out in front of them, and they choose one randomly. And you can special summon that attack or defense mode. It's an art card that one of many in this deck that has won me so many games. Toon Briefcase, phenomenal one. While your opponent summons a Toon monster while you control when your opponent summons a monster or monsters while you control a Toon monster, shuffle that monster or monsters into the deck. This is another card that has helped, I wouldn't say it's helped me win games as much as it's helped me secure my turns and continue getting off what I need to, because there's a lot of times where you'll play in gold rank and during your turn, because you summoned something or you did one thing, they will play 2,000 monsters, and you're just like, well, fuck, what do I do about that? Well, you play Toon Briefcase, because you can search it out with your other cards, and you can use that against them so they can't play that monster when they thought they could. Very, very good one. Toon Terror, like I said, I should run two of in this. I run two of in this, and you should run two of, because I don't think free is 100% necessary. Toon Terror. When a spell or trap card monster effect is activated while you control both Toon World and Toon Monster or monsters, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. Very, very, very good. I've used this a lot against tribute decks or fusion decks, and things that bring out decks from their extra constantly. I've had very good interactions against that with this. It's helped me so much. Or like they put a field and I can just play that. Or on monster effects, like when this does a whole entire essay, you can be like, no, it's not going to do that because I have Toon World and Toon Monster out and I play this. That covers the main deck. I'm going to go with extra deck. I think I still need some tweaks on the extra deck, but it's pretty set for the most part. If anything, I would just need more copies of the cards I already have out. We already covered camarotec, number 100. Yada yada, two number XE monsters, same rank as any XE. You can detach one material from this card. This can gains attack equal to combined ranks of all XE monsters currently in the field times 100 until on your opponent's turn. When this card is destroyed by card effect, destroy as many monsters on the field as possible, minimum one. Then each player sets one spell trap from the graveyard to their field. When opponent's monster declares an attack, while this card is in the graveyard and you have no cards in your hand or field, you can special summon this card. Very good card. I haven't used it too much lately, but it's something extra that I think I'll use eventually. Which I guess the main reason I've seen some people run free of Blackstone is because of that, but it's not something I'm going to go for usually. This, I didn't really start using this on last night until it really helped me. This is actually very useful, and it's the reason he's a one of. The 2-level Aqua monsters, which would be the 2 Mermaids, to bring it out. Wait, I'm sorry now. There was another way I brought this out. I think it was Vels or something I brought out. I'm sorry, because I'm not familiar with this card too much, that I haven't been using it too much, but it is very good. You can detach one material from the special summon or frog monster from your deck once per turn. When your opponent activates a spell or trap card or monster effect, you can send one Aqua monster from your hand or face. If this card is sent to the graveyard, then target one monster in the graveyard, add it to your hand. So it's more of a second effect I'm using right here. Like this whole gimmick right here. I haven't used it too much, but it's going to be used in other decks a lot in comparison. I've used it a couple times and it's been helpful. Abyss Welder, this was one I was talking about that I use these for, between them and Harpy Lady. Let's see, Tornado Dragon, another example of what I use for them. You can detach one material from this card and then target a spell trap on a field, destroy it. Chain that with anything, destroy a field, a spell or trap they have on the field on your opponent, or you can destroy your own for some reason if you want to do that for whatever god reason. This is a good card too. Another one I use these 4 levels for. You detach one. It's a 2100 hitter. This attack position cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Your opponent cannot attack this card position with card effects. While this card is in face-up defense position, change up all monsters on the field to defense position. So, like, your opponent has a whole board that's, like, ready to aggro their next turn, or when the turn you summon it, like, you can bring it out, there's stuff you can do that chain into that switch to defense, and you can change all your opponent's monsters to defense. If you want to get them to, like, the cards that have, like, high attack power but low defense, switch to defense and get rid of them, you can do that. And then negate back the effects of monsters that were in defense position when that effect was activated. So let's say your opponent has a monster, it's like, oh, well, you switch to defense? Well, it does this, and you go, no, it doesn't, because I used this skill. Number 38, once per turn, when a speller, this is the 2 level 8s, so like your Toon blacklusters, maybe Golem if you have Golem in this. I haven't used this too much lately, but I was recommending this. You can negate the quick effect on this spell when your opponent attach that card as material list when your opponent's mod declares attack. You can attach one material from this, change attack to this card, and perform damage calculation. And if an XZ monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you target one XZ monster you control against attack equal to one of those destroyed monster's original attack. This I haven't really used, so I'm sorry, I'm not going to go over that one. I just kind of been recommended. I'll go over that another time when I start using it more. This is a good one. You can, if you have an XC monster and you want to chain it with this, you can. It says you can summon it by as material, transfers material this card. Quick effect: you can attach 2 materials from this card, send all other cards in the field to the graveyard. Once per turn, if your another card you control is destroyed by battle or opponent's card effect, you can attach 1 card from your hand, deck, or extra to this card as material. So it's very, very good. It does a lot. It has 3,000. If you have an XD monster out, you can match it up to it and get it out there. I said another card I haven't gone to doing too much because in the gold rings I'm just usually hitting out with my 2 monsters, and there's been times where I'll absolutely go to my XCs and get stuff off him, but not an absolute must. But I feel like when I get to the platinum ranks stuff, I'm still playing this deck by then, which I'm gonna aim to. I'll be using my XCs and stuff like him a lot more. I've used this a couple times. This is like you have 4 effective monsters on the field. It says free plus, but it's for near player can target this card of monster effects once per turn. You target 1 monster on the field. It loses 500 attack defense. Your opponent cannot activate anything in response to that. If it attacks a monster, opponent's monster, you can place that monster in a zone this card points to and take control of it. Send it to the graveyard during the end phase of the next turn. That's an amazing card to use when you have 4. You're like, alright, well, I'm just going to hit you with this by using all 4 cards on my field to get it out. And lastly, we have the same thing for target 1 attack position monster. Change it to defense position. This card can make a second attack during each battle phase this turn. Your opponent cannot activate anything in response. Once per turn, when it declares an attack on a face-up monster, you can activate this effect. Until the end of this turn, this card gains attack equal to half that monster's current attack. And if it does, that monster's current attack is halved. So another go screw yourself to your opponent is basically what you're throwing at them with that. It covers the deck for the most part of what you want in it. If you want some side deck stuff, there's pretty obvious stuff. Mirror Force, maybe a trap generator, something that stops more spells and traps. Maybe like Harpy's Feather Duster that wipes the field. maybe some silly stuff like Bottomless Trap Hole, which is a good card. I wouldn't say silly, but Magic Cylinder I've said, which is the negate effect and deal damage back to them. That's a good side deck card you can throw out against your opponent. Is throwing out big beaters against you. I'm not too sure on the side deck of what I'd put in there yet, because I haven't really found anything I want to put in the side deck absolutely. Probably the problem with this deck is that, like some good decks say brick, you don't get the Toon monsters you have out, you have some bad draws, or your opponent managed to get rid of your field easily because you didn't get Toon bookmark out when you needed to, or use it too early, or use a card too early. It's really a problem with it. And the bad matchups would be like when a gold rank matches up. Gold rank matches and higher, there's tons and tons of link monsters and XCs that basically prevent you from doing anything. Where it's like, there's a card, I forgot the name of it, but it basically goes, well, your turn, goodbye to your turn, because this skips your next main phase. So stuff like that, in our case, it makes your stuff brick, it makes your stuff not be able to use their effects, and it kind of screws your day up. Overall, I think even with the holes and some of the bad matchups, I'd say this deck is either an A- deck or a B+. People who don't know this matchup will get screwed and they will get scared and pressured with a lot of stuff. They'll be like, I don't know what this does. I didn't know it could do that because I wasn't able to stop some of your cards. Or when I tried stopping your field, you hit Toon bookmark on me. And you can put a lot of pressure on opponents that way. Like I said, at the least, it's a B+, the A- deck. Overall, I think it's really good. Very fun deck, probably one of my favorites. And Pegasus, back when he created this, when he had this deck in anime and manga, is one of my favorite. It's always been my favorite deck growing up. And I'm glad it got support over the years to make it even better. That about wraps up the deck profile and everything. Again, if any of my stuttering or stammering or clearing my throat was any of that involved in this, I'm very sorry about that. I'll make it more clear next time for next deck profile. If you'd like to have a deck profile and speak to me about what your deck does on a list, feel free to message me, feel free to comment below. And if you want to join my Discord, I have that in the comments below. In the section, well, I'm sorry, not in the comments, in the description below. And feel free to sub, like, comment, share, any of that. Thanks again, and sorry for any inconvenience during the video, and have a good one, guys.